Hello everyone, welcome back to Bluebird Motorcar. On the ramp today we've got a Ford Focus, got the 1 litre EcoBoost installed in there. Now I know what you're thinking, it's another wet belt replacement video. Not this time, but it is related to the wet belt. So this car has been to another garage, no idea where, I think somewhere in the Manchester area, anywhere, it doesn't really matter. And it's had its wet belt changed. Now before it had its wet belt changed, the car ran perfectly fine, according to the customer. And since it's been replaced, it now doesn't run well at all. It's got an engine management light on the dash, and it does have a bit of a misfire. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to delve into it and see exactly what the problem is, see if we can find out what the problem is. First of all, we'll plug the scanner in and see what that says. But I have a strong suspicion that if it has had the wet belt changed, chances are the timing's out. Something's not been done properly, but we're here to rectify that. So let's delve into it, let's get that scanner plugged in and see what we're looking at. Okay then, so we've gone ahead and plugged the scanner in, gone to the powertrain control module, and we have an error fault code there for camshaft position sensor, saying that the timing is over advanced, bank 1. So, we definitely have an issue when it comes to the timing. What we'll do then is we'll check the timing out. Now, I don't really like looking over other people's work because you can never guarantee the quality of something if you've never done it yourself. Such as, I don't know what sort of timing belt they've used, I don't know if they've replaced everything that it should do, but we'll get into it and we'll see what's going on. So let's get into it. Time to check the timing out. First job is we need to take this rocker cover off here, because underneath that we'll expose the camshafts and then we'll be able to see what sort of position they're in. Coil packs come out first. Just undo the two retaining bolts from the top, take the electric connector off, just pull out nicely. So I've just gone to take this intake pipe off, and straight away I found a Jubilee clip that's not on. Obviously it's not causing the timing issue, but like I said before about going over other people's work, not on to a great start, but let's get that pipe off anyway. Loads more room now that pipe's been taken off. Next we'll take all the connectors on top of here, one by one. Take them out the brackets, so what's not in this bracket. And then we'll go for the fuel rail. So let's get to it. Fuel rails off. Now time to get all the bolts out of the rocker cover and lift it up, and then we can have a look at the cams. Rocker cover taken off. Let's have a look. Well, straight away that timing belt is hanging off that cam. Let me get a torch so I can see that a bit better. So you can actually see that timing belt is running off that exhaust cam there, same on the intake, so that's definitely not correct, so there's something amiss. So I would say at a minimum we're probably going to have to take this car apart and see what's gone on. My suspicion there is they put the bottom pulleys on incorrectly, but we won't know until we've got the cover off. So even though it's been pretty much confirmed that we are going to have to strip this car down completely to gain access to the timing belt, for the sake of the diagnosis, I want to have a look into why it's bringing up a fault code, because even if that belt's hanging off, that wouldn't necessarily set a fault code. I'm thinking that timing is definitely out, but I just want to confirm that before I start taking everything apart. On the back of the engine block there's a 10mm. We have to undo that and insert a timing tool, lock it up, and then we'll check the cam tools, make sure they're sitting okay, which I'm guessing they won't. And there's also a pinhole on the crank just there, we'll also check that. I'm unsure whether it's got any relevance to the issues or it's been looked at before, but it's also got quite a big coolant leak, this car. Not looking good up to now. So then, we've got the crank tool locked up, and I've just placed the cam tools on here, and to be honest with you, they sit very well. It wouldn't look on the face of it that the car is actually out of time, but there is one more thing that I need to check before I'm 100% on that. So this is what I wanted to check out. It is the location of this bottom pulley. Now why that's so important is that the crankshaft position sensor here runs off a tone wheel that sits on the back of this pulley. If this is out, the car will not run correctly because the car won't know where the engine's up to time-wise. So I've just pinned that now. I've took the pin out of the back of the engine, I've pinned that in place. I'm now going to recheck the cams. So instead of going back up to the cams, I've decided to just check it on the crankshaft. I've pinned this pulley where it should be. I've tried to insert the crank tool. It's hard to see on the camera, but the pin will now not go in flush. There's a slight air gap. So that'll be the reason why the engine management light's on. It only takes a fraction for these to be out. It can cause quite a lot of issues. What I'm suspecting is that when they've torqued the bottom pulley back up, which is quite a harsh torque sequence on these, you have to use torque multiply and whatnot. I think it's like 600 to 800 Newton meters when that's all said and done. I don't think they've used a friction washer, so as they've tightened it up, I think it's moved this pulley a little bit to the right hand side, and it's caused the timing issue that we've got. So either way, we're going to have to strip the car all the way down to see what's going on with that timing belt, because it is about to come off the top cam pulleys. So I'm going to update the customer with what I've found, and then I'm going to start stripping the car apart. So then, we've obviously noticed some quite big defects. Just noticing this timing belt as well. If you look at that, it's got like a groove all the way around, like something's catching on it. I suppose we'll find out a little bit further on into the job when we've taken that cover off exactly what's going on in that timing area. Coolant leak's been found. It looks like it's got a damaged degas holes. You can shine my torch on there, you can just see all the crusty coolant that's been leaking out of there. But we'll get to that. It's not a big problem really. It is getting the gearbox all red on the top end. So we're going to start the strip down now. Intake pipe off here. Sorry, not intake pipe. Boost pipe. Take the boost pipe off. Coolant bottle out of the way. We'll reach down there and we'll get the top bolt of the starter motor out. Exhaust out of the way. And yeah, we'll make some progress. Moving on from yesterday then, I had to come off this job and attend to some other work. Taking all the bolts out of the exhaust, need to go underneath and hopefully that'll come off okay. I've just gone to take this top starter bolt off, the starter motor bolt, and you wouldn't believe what I found. Literally, found a ratchet. So, whoever fixed this car previously, I found your ratchet. You want to claim it? Send me a message. If not, thanks for the new ratchet. We've just now raised the vehicle up. I need to take the exhaust off. I've got a couple of observations that I've noticed. The water pump has been siliconed in, or sealed in, and funnily enough, it's leaking. Not surprised at that. Shouldn't use any gasket sealer on that surface at all. Comes with a new gasket, genuine kit. Having a bit of a strange one with the exhaust because I think last time it's had that belt changed, what they've done is they've cut the exhaust completely here, undone the two 13s and dropped it down, because there's no way that the bolts up here have been touched. Well, they have been touched by me, but they're obviously seized up like they always are. But to what extreme it takes you to cut the exhaust and drop it down, yeah, it's new to me. It's not a method I'm going to be using, but yeah, we'll get it done, get it taken off. Progress update, sumper's been taken off. We have a look in the strainer. It's absolutely full of wet belt fibre. It shouldn't be, considering it had a wet belt done, well, I'm guessing fairly recently, because that's the reason why it's here, because it's had issues since it's been done. So yeah, that should have been cleaned out properly. The alternator was loose, bolts are incorrect in that. I think they've put the bolts out of the AC compressor in the alternator or something. I don't know what's gone on, but it was loose. I'm going to get the torque multiplier on next and get the crank pulley off. Not that far away from getting the side cover off. I am interested to see what's gone on in there, as that belt is leaning right over towards the crankcase. So yeah, we'll see what we find when we get that case off. I'll come back to you when I've got it off. Fast forward a couple of hours, well, maybe not that long, but we've got the cover off now. You can clearly see the belt is hanging off that top pulley. I'm going to strip it down a little bit further and see if I can find exactly why it's hanging off. These look like they're in the right. Sometimes these can get mixed up, but they look okay. Let's have a look, see if we can find out what's going on. So then, it looks like we've managed to find the reason why the timing belt was hanging off. We had a good look at the bottom crank, and it's poking out a little bit too far. Got me wondering what the state of the thrust washers are on the crankshaft itself. And I looked up, and there are some scoring marks on the crank. You look at the flywheel, it's been catching on the engine block. And if I get a pry bar just in here and give it a press, it's got an alarming amount of play. So, barring an engine rebuild, and even that can be a little bit tricky on these, this engine is toast. So unfortunately, it looks like this EcoBoost is done for. I'm going to have a conversation with the customer, see what they want to do. I'm presuming they'll probably want to build it back up and send it down the road, but I'm not too sure yet. I'll have to see what happens. So then, you join us a few days later. We did have a conversation with the customer and told them about what we found. They've asked us to rebuild the car. Now, we've not put a new wet belt on there, we just put the one that we've put on previously, but we have got the engine now in time, so it's running a lot better than it was. Now, I envisage that the bottom end of the engine, with all that scoring and whatnot, will become a problem in the near future. Now, what the customer wants to do about that, if you want to replace an engine, or just drive it until it cuts out, I'm not too sure, but for now, it is running a lot better than it was. Unfortunately, it's not a permanent fix, but that's just the way it goes. Sometimes these wet belt failures, sometimes it's not good news. We do get a lot of cars that come to us, especially the Peugeots, which come to a point where it's not worth repairing, and engine replacements are the only way forward, which is a shame, but it does happen. But anyway, appreciate you watching as always. If you are watching on YouTube, please give us a subscribe, a like, follow and a share. On Facebook, viewers is always really appreciated. And if you do have any wet belt issues with your Ford Focus, your Transits, Peugeots, Hondas even, because they have them too, feel free to get in touch at Bluebird Motorcar. We have you covered on all bases, not just wet belts, but service, MOT and general repairs, and auto electricians as well. Speak to you again. Till next time, thanks for watching.